Hello, parents, educators, and nerdy D&D fans. You have found our new home for Area of Effect, a talk show where we discuss how tabletop role-playing games benefit the whole family. We're currently in process of shifting all our old but golden episodes over to this new channel by posting a new episode every weekday until we catch back up to our new episodes. We would love your help getting this new channel up and running with a follow, share, or review. And thanks for joining us on our quest to bring more adventurers to the table.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
We're going to get it right. First time.
Get what right?
I'll say hello, and then
Ready?
you say hello, and then
Hello,
the billowing
ready?
hilltop. Hello, no,
Hello.
no. Oh, Christ,
And then the
that'll-
billowing hilltop.
We are the billowing hilltop. I hadn't worked anything.
You haven't done anything after
Yeah,
that, have
you've
you?
only got
45 seconds.
What do we do? No, I know what we do.
Total
I know what we do.
loser.
We
Dirty.
play tabletop role-playing games. Currently, we're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We're playing The Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path by Paizo. And there's hundreds of episodes of us playing D&D.
Yep.
We just sit around a table playing games and having fun, and you can hear us wherever you're hearing this. Search Billowing Hilltop. We hope you join us. Yay!
Thank you.
Hey there, this is Wythe Marshall from the Stillfleet Studio. We put together a little podcast called Why We Roll, and now we're very proud to be part of the network Podderation. So if you're listening to one of Podderation's other great shows, and you're interested in TTRPGs specifically, that's tabletop role-playing games, you might be interested in our show. Why We Roll is all about how you make TTRPGs, what makes them fun, different kinds of stories you can tell with TTRPGs, and even the business, so the practical advice side. So if any of that sounds appealing, whether you're a GM, you want to design your homebrew game, or you're interested in getting in the industry, why don't you head over to Why We Roll, check us out. We really, really appreciate it, and keep making awesome stuff.
During the pandemic lockdown, I had the privilege of serving as a mentor for teenagers. I had one parent reach out to me concerned that her daughter was experiencing depression, mainly due to the disconnect that she felt from her friends and from society. At the time, her daughter was just beginning high school and was looking at possibly spending the whole year doing online school only. Beginning a new school without ever stepping foot on the campus or seeing the other students was particularly difficult for her daughter, who had been so looking forward to starting this new phase of life and making new friends. This disconnect is something that teenagers have always faced throughout history, and we're seeing it in stronger and newer ways today, and that's something we'd like to talk about today. I'm Allison.
I'm Ryan.
And welcome to Area of Effect, a podcast by the Kids Table, where we discuss how tabletop RPGs benefit kids and teenagers and answer your questions about playing TTRPGs with the kids at your own table.
I want to start with you because the reason I want to start with you is because you said something really interesting that teenagers have always felt disconnected. And that's an interesting thing for me because I'm the kid person. I work with younger children, and most children are natural connectors. You walk into almost any elementary school, go to almost any playground, and some of the kids there are like me, super shy introverts, have a hard time making friends. But you make that one friend, and you are off down the slide, or you are playing with the blocks like nobody's business. So what is it that happens between the age that I work with and the age that you work with that things become so disconnected?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it quite that way about children before, but you're right. It is a significant shift as everything is shifting, between the ages of 11 and 18, basically. So teenagers experience disconnect for a lot of reasons. Part of it is hormonal and biological. Something happens in our bodies that make us want to disassociate from our family of origin, which is where you come into all of the issues and fights between parents and children that are notorious during this time of life. Part of it also is that the world doesn't really know how to treat teenagers. They're often treated too much like adults or like miniature adults. or they're treated too much like children, which they take great offense to. There is a happy medium in there where teenagers are treated for exactly who they are, but actually I see that happening really rarely. It's usually that teenagers are pressured to mature or to grow up too fast, be too focused on the future, who they're going to be as an adult, what is their job going to be, how are they going to handle different issues, being made to think so much in the future tense that they can't enjoy their teen years and being in the present. And they find themselves reaching the end of their teen years having only been focused on looking ahead and not having really enjoyed some of the benefits of being a teenager.
So that's interesting because what you're saying is that it's the society, it's the structures that we've built that treat teenagers like this. So why is it then that teenagers don't form or have a harder time right now forming connections with each other? Because sometimes when the structure's against you, that's when you turn inward to your community and like you sort of become this rebel, right? But you're saying that teenagers have a difficult time connecting with each other. So what is it that's happening there that's I don't know, going wrong or something?
So a huge part of it nowadays is social media. And I am by no means an anti-social media, anti-technology kind of a person. I think that it's a tool that can have positive effects and it can have negative effects. And that's hard for adults to navigate. And it's really hard for teenagers or younger children to navigate. But what I mean about that is that their whole lives are on display nowadays. If you post something online on TikTok or Instagram or something, it's permanent. People see it, they can download it, they can screenshot it, they have it permanent. Imagine if I, as an adult in my late 30s, if everything I did as a teenager was like permanently on the internet, how horrifyingly embarrassing would that be?
Oh God,
Right?
I would hate it.
Especially when
I
you're
would
at
hate
the
it so
age,
much.
right? I've heard about some of your photographs that may or may not still be floating around,
Oh yeah, no, I mean
allegedly.
I had a mullet all through high school. I in elementary school I did an Odyssey of the Mind tournament where I wore a coconut bra and a grass skirt. Like there are very specific reasons why pictures of me don't exist from that era anymore. I can't imagine what it would be like for that stuff. I mean, to follow me into adulthood, but to follow me to school, right? Like that sort of stuff just sort of lives out there constantly because lots of people have a natural fear of being seen anyway, right? The sort of philosophical I see the you that sees me. That's really a difficult thing to go through, and especially for teenagers who are just trying to figure out who they are, and who they are reflected against other people is a difficult thing to swallow. That social media lens, that's really good. That I can see why that would contribute to that fragmentation, because why would I want to talk to you if you know too much about me?
Yeah, and not only is the evidence out there, but it's measured and graded by the number of followers and the number of likes that you
Yeah.
have.
Yep.
It's the way that as a teenager you would try to navigate, I'm trying on this persona today, which is very natural to try on multiple different identities or tweaks of your identity as you're especially entering the teenage era. Imagine if people like held up a scorecard every time you showed up to school with like,
Oh my
how cool do I
gosh.
think you are today? And then that's like a permanent record on your social media. So I remember interacting with a girl who was in eighth grade at the time and was like literally curled up on the floor in the corner, almost shell shocked. And when I talked to her about it, she was upset because of like a post that she had made on Instagram at the time. This was like 10 years ago. That it that had not gone well, that like people had not liked it, and then they were talking about it at school and she didn't have a lot of likes and she couldn't like delete it fast enough on her page. So it only exacerbates the natural self-consciousness and self-doubt that happens in the teenage world.
Yep. Yep. So okay, so then how is it that tabletop RPGs can help that? Because I'm gonna be real harsh here. It's a nerd thing. It is a nerd thing to do. And getting teenagers to do nerd things when I was a nerdy teenager, it didn't really go super well. So like, how is it that TTRPGs like D&D can help teens connect with each other and I guess with themselves? Like, is that a thing too?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Well, the good news is that being a nerd is not as bad as it was when you and I were growing up. It's not
That's
seen
so
as
unfair,
negatively
by
as it
the
used to
way.
be. I
Like,
know.
it's just so
Just
unfair.
like, did you know that being a band kid doesn't automatically make you uncool anymore either?
Oh, see, okay, but when I was in orchestra, which it wasn't a bad nerd, we were an orc dork. That we were cool. The orchestra
Oh,
kids were cool. Don't laugh at me.
uh-huh. It's cool. I played the flute, I played the clarinet. I understand. You know, as teenagers, there's a lot of pressures that they're facing. There's a lot of pressure to perform or to pretend to be a certain somebody to please different people in your lives, particularly having split identities depending on what group of people you're with or what setting you're with, whether you're on your sports team or you're at school or with your when you're with friends in your neighborhood or your parents or different coaches or just different groups of friends. And it can be overwhelming. We know that in part due to these pressures and some of the effects of social media on teenagers, we're seeing higher than ever levels of mental health struggles, particularly anxiety and depression in teenagers. And we saw that have a super spike during the pandemic. And just this need that as we are more and more connected as a society online through social media and the web, particularly our children are having access to that now, we're actually feeling even more disconnected despite the many ways that we can connect with other people. It can be a low stakes kind of therapy way for kids to try out who they really are. And it's low stakes because if somebody laughs at your character, they're laughing at the character and not laughing at you. Or if somebody doesn't
Mm.
like your character, they're not liking the character. They're not liking you. Just like when we do combat in TTRPGs, your character gets hurt, but you don't physically get hurt, right? So it's a way for them to explore in a safe space. And the idea behind playing not just a one shot, but a campaign is that you develop community with the other people around the table, the DM and the other players, in a way that builds trust because you're really putting yourself out there in a different way than you would at school. And when you see people responding positively to that and responding by putting themselves out there too, that builds that mutual trust and respect together. It's also easier for a lot of teenagers to speak up and take risks in a way in tabletop games than it is in real life. And it helps groups who are like managed well by the DM. This is not like a natural skill. It's something that's learned to in any small group of people. You have to learn to listen well and to take your turn and not just be the one who's talking and acting all the time, but to participate in active listening. So you know, the dragonborn character has this idea to try to sneak into the bad guy's lair instead of going through the front door. So if I just shut down that character all the time, then he's not going to want to be on my team anymore. But I have to figure out how to actively listen to him and say, okay, I hear what you're saying. You don't think it's possible for us to go through the front door, so you want to sneak in the back? Great. Now let's do that, and let me add on to that idea by doing this. So it really helps them practice active listening skills that can be used in more serious circumstances when somebody has something they really need to get off their chest or something difficult that they're going through. And it helps them learn how to support and empathize with other people and their own perspectives.
See, what I really like about that is it's it's subversive in a way because you can't tell a teenager anything, right? You can't teach a teenager directly. So often a teenager will, or at least in my experience, this is why I work with children. A teenager will look at you and just like look past you, right? So to give them the opportunity to try on these identities in a safe environment, but in an environment that ultimately doesn't matter, right? Like the Forgotten Realms are not real, or whatever campaign setting that you have, Exandria doesn't exist. So like if I mess up there, it doesn't count on my permanent record, right? Like that social media permanent record you were talking about. So it gives them the ability to try on these new identities in this sort of oblique way, while also giving them the tools and teaching them how to do identity formation out in the real world too, right? That it doesn't have to be this scary thing. It doesn't have to be this thing that's so fraught with meaning and with obstacles, that it can just be a thing that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it helps them also practice being really a good friend. I think nowadays, and I fall into this too. Anytime you have a awkward silence or a spare moment, you turn to your phone, right? So kids aren't practicing as much that in-person social interaction as they used to. So they're practicing what it means to be there for a friend. They're practicing what it means to fill in their friends' weak spots, to celebrate their friends' successes, to point out their strengths and encourage them when they're feeling some trepidation and anxiety. And yeah, just to learn from each other and support each other, which is something that they're not getting as much exposure or practice doing in the real world as maybe they used to.
Okay, Allison, so final thought then. What would you say to the parents or the adults out there who are listening, who have teenagers in their lives and who see this disconnection? What's the first gentle step that they could take into this realm?
There's lots of opportunities for kids to play online. The most comfortable, maybe safest way for them to play would be at home with family or close friends who they already have built that trust and reputation with. But if that's not an option, there's lots of communities online where you can play with people over Zoom, or your local game store probably has opportunities for teenagers to play D&D. Or if they already have found those kind of elusive, loyal, true friends in the real world, that would be awesome to invite them over to your house to play a game of D&D together and spend time connecting in that way. And it never hurts to support them with snacks and pizza.
Speaking as the kid guy, teenagers are scary because they are going through all of these things, and it's also hard for some adults to remember what it was like to be a teenager, either because it's hard to remember, like because you can't remember, or it's hard to remember because those were difficult times for you too. So I feel like if you're looking at a teenager, you're looking at these teens, and you're seeing this disconnect, that vulnerability of play is really crucial. Asking them to play with you, you'd be surprised how many teenagers just want to be able to play for a couple of minutes. And this is a way for them to play, and also to build skills and to learn tools that could actually have a real world impact.
I love it. Absolutely. D&D helps kids connect. And that's why when kids are at the table, everyone wins.
Thanks for listening to Area of Effect. Be a part of the ongoing conversation. Follow us on Instagram at the Kids Table D&D, where you can DM us questions that might appear on a future show. And check out the Kids Table D&D on YouTube to see how we include kids and teens at the table. Brought to you by the Kids Table, because when kids are at the table, everyone wins.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here, and if you like today's show, why not have a listen to the All Things Nintendo podcast? Hosted by Brian Shea, former director and Game Informer and lifelong games journalist, the show explores the ins and outs of gaming's oldest company and one of its biggest, featuring interviews, featuring reviews, featuring everything you want to know about the world of Nintendo. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website at podderation.com.